Ruddy, there are so many different ways that people have described you as a photojournalist, a documentary photographer. You know, I know so many variations on photography, but ultimately for me what you are is a storyteller. And I think that one of the things that is integral to your story is the fact that you came from an oral tradition. You're from Jamaica. And my parents are from Dominican Republic, so the oral tradition is part and parcel of the culture. And when people talk about oral tradition, people just think about this idea of stories being shared by word of mouth. But for me, when I remember the stories that happen in my family at these parties, I remember, you know, the women dressed to the nines in the kitchen, fixing up the meals, and I remember my uncles and, you know, the men in the living room, and I remember the tinkle of ice in tumblers and the smell of rum, and, you know, the album spinning, you know, playing bachata and merengue and all these other things. And the experience of hearing those stories that would be told at those parties, it wasn't just about the stories. It was about this shared history and this sort of reinforcement of who we were as a family and as a people. And I wanted to ask you to start this conversation is like, take me back to those days when you were a kid and a child and you were surrounded by those people who were telling those stories, because you have a passion for storytelling, but I know that it was born really early, and I want you to sort of take us back then and describe what that was like.
Lord. You know, before I started taking pictures, I wrote a lot. It was the one way of catching my mother's eye, was when I wrote a very beautiful line. So it's funny when I write on my Instagram now and somebody reposts a line or a quote. See, I have to play this. This is the spirit. So I have to play it. The same thing you're talking about, culture. He says, when a man love a woman and a woman love a man, a judge of blessings. My fondest memory as a child was around Christmas time. And I remember writing this poem once mostly about the smell. Everything about what I wrote was about what I smell when I woke up the day of Christmas. It was the rum cake. It was the smell of plastic tearing off a toy. It was the smell of walking into somebody's house and smelling eggnog, or smelling rum, or smelling rum punch, or smelling manish water. Anybody know what manish water is? That's when when you kill a goat and you make soup, that smell. And I think about photography, and I know for a fact that although I have put up 4,500 images on Instagram, 90% of what I'm trying to emote miss the audience, because it's not just an image. And so that's why I pack it with this caption, with the hope that you'll capture the culture, because I'm not giving you an image, I'm giving you a culture. So whether it's this guy who is on the floor, lying on the street, I am trying to tell you that when I was growing up as a child, seeing something like this would immediately ask me to ask my mom, why is this happening? Why do we have homelessness? Why isn't Mr. Peter taking care? Because those are the, I mean, I'll give you an example. I remember walking with my mom one day and I saw this woman. Bear with me. I saw this woman wearing a very tight leather pants in 90-something degree weather. And I'm about 12 years old. I'm walking with my mom and I go, Mom, doesn't her thing get hot? And I remember my mom, I remember looking up at her face and she wanted to go. But she knew she had to be like, I think she said something like, not if she's wearing the right underwear. And to go back to the stories, this was the relationship I had with my mom. This was the relationship I had with my dad. Stories were not just a gathering, a sitting in a circle. Stories happened while we were walking on the street. Stories happened while we were in a bank. Stories happened while we were at the post office in those long lines that stretch all the way outside. We told stories. And back to this line, I would always try to impress my mom with beautiful lines. So as a 7-year-old, an 8-year-old, all the way up until I was maybe 14, my greatest joy was to write a beautiful line and watch my mom smile. It wasn't playing football. I remember she was an amazing runner. Even when I came home with medals, and she would go, "Ah, boy of my own heart." It was finding a line that would make her proud. That smile is the reason why I take images, is the reason why I write these captions. Because I'm also trying to put that same smile on my audience's faces.